Good afternoon. Welcome to the work session for the Board of Education of Greeley-Evans School District 6. It is August 10th, our first meeting back for this new school year. Ms. Lemon, will you please call this meeting will come to order, and Ms. Lemon, will you please call the roll?
Director Azari?
Present.
Director Bentley?
Present.
Director Campos-Spitzi?
Present.
Director Edmonds?
Present.
Director Lemos-Garcia?
Present.
Director Mash?
Present.
Director Rogie?
Present.
All board members present.
Thank you. So we have our first calendar, and there are school visits starting right away in September. I would also have everyone put stars next to convocation. So this is a big kickoff to the school year that we're doing, I think, every 4 years-ish. Three, okay. Yeah, I don't know if you want to say any more about that, Dr. Pilch, but we get every staff member together in one place and have celebrations. All the staffs have different T-shirts, and I don't know, it's just a lot of team building. And yeah, I offered you to say something, and then I kept talking. Sorry.
We'll be purchasing soccer jerseys for you all to wear. We're gonna do kind of a pep rally soccer theme for the convocation, but it's really an exciting time. We can get everybody into Greeley West High School, and our bus drivers will often transport from the building so that, everyone's not trying to park there, and nutrition services will provide some breakfast, and there'll be students involved and staff involved, and so it's a really important event. We hope to have you all there. Mm-hmm. We'll have reserved seating for you, and we'll introduce you all, and there'll be more to come as we get closer to the date.
Yeah, just save that date if you can. I think, Dr. Pilch, you were also going to tell us a little more about the Greeley Area Realtors Lunch.
Yes, I was. I need to check on that, guys. Typically, we haven't had the whole board at that, so I need to find out what do they want. That's really been, so it used to be early on in the years, Mr. Hafley and I would go. He had a relationship with them, and they liked having him come, and so he and I would go. And then the last several years, Chief of Communications and I have just gone. So I don't know if they meant to invite all of you. I mean, I don't know. So I need to check on that. And that is coming up soon. But
So we should probably plan not to attend unless otherwise.
I'm going to find out
told.
tomorrow. Michael will help me find out tomorrow from Julie Jensen on that. I think it's, yeah. I think it'll just be a little awkward if we're all there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. Well, Michael will help me figure out what they
Well, I
had
can't
in
make
mind.
it if that helps.
Yeah,
I can't make it at all anyway, so
I
that frees
can't
up a
make
seat.
it if
You can, Natalie. So maybe it's just Natalie and me, Michael, if they do want someone from the board. So we'll see. They've been a pretty supportive group for us. They've let us bring information around bond and mill levy to share with them. It can range in size from 30 to 60, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a part of kind of our work of helping realtors understand, what the school district is and what we're about and what our data looks like. And, so typically go and give an update every year on our data. So
okay.
more to come. I think let's plan on just, Natalie, on you and me and Michael. If you guys are okay with that, are you okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's just plan on that, and we'll let them know that, Amy.
Okay. And then I would also mention the CASB Fall Conference and Delegate Assembly. It sounds like that invitation is open to anyone who wants to go, but typically that one isn't, it's not all the boards, it's more of like the delegates. They vote on some things. So I don't know. We're going to talk later on about committees and assignments and things like that. So don't feel, I guess, the pressure to attend that one, but you're welcome to. There's always good speakers and more about.
I'm already planning on
You're planning to
going.
go. Okay.
Being that I've been
Yeah,
in that role.
absolutely. Well, and even if you decided to pass that on, it's sometimes nice to have that warm handoff of whoever's coming up next.
Right.
So, but we can talk about that part later. But just so you know, the December one is the one that's really for us all to go to every time if we can. And then there's also a winter CASB in like February where you go to the Capitol and you can talk to the legislators and talk about advocacy work, and that one's cool too. So, any questions on the calendar? Anything to add? No. Okay. So we will move on to board member comments. And let's start with you, Director Ogie.
It has been, a break, but I'm just real glad to be back and see everybody and kind of touch base again with what's going on in the district. It sounds like it's been a busy summer, and it's just good to be back and glad to reconnect and get involved.
Thank you. Director Ramos Garcia?
Yes, I had a busy summer as well, even though my life has just been normal. But I've missed you all, so I am so glad to be back. I know we've seen each other around town in various occasions, but I'm excited to get back into it, so thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Director Azari?
Okay, so even though this is the first meeting back from summer, I will report out on 3 items as if it was just a regular board meeting. So first of all, looking all the way back to the 4th of July, I'd like to thank all the folks that helped out with the District 6 All-City Parade Band. They did an outstanding job. For those of us that went to the parade, it seems to get better and better every year, and the kids just are super. So needed to call that out. And then I had the opportunity to speak to the students at the Student Health Advisory Council, their summer intensive. And I just need you to know that when I do things like that, I express on behalf of the whole board appreciation for their volunteer service to the district. They put a lot of time into that, actually, and they were several of them were at the District 6 backpack event with their smoothie bikes, which I can barely get through a minute on, but the kids are amazing with that. So it's always great to talk with those students. Our wellness team is very well organized and puts together outstanding meetings. It's great to see all the work we do, and we have some really remarkable results that come from that work in our school district. And then finally, another great Habitat for Humanity breakfast. I appreciate the district's support of that organization, because I know we all agree that when students have stability in their housing, that leads to stability in the classroom. So that's all I have, President Mash.
Thank you very much. Director Edmonds?
Me? Well, I got a few things to report on. Great summer for myself. We got to see several of our favorite artists. Got to see Mumford & Sons, Noah Kahan this last weekend. So it's a good summer of music, but also first summer with 2 working parents in the household. So it went by really fast, I think, especially for my wife, Kristen. But I didn't really, actually, I first should say welcome back to students, teachers, administrators, bus drivers, teachers' aides, student teachers, janitorial staff, nutrition services, and of course the board. This being the first official day, everyone's, full steam ahead. So I'm really excited about this school year, just hearing how the impacts of last school year went with our graduation rates. It was great to read in the e-week about just how many more AP students we have, and just I'm really excited for for our community to see the great things that our district has done, because we just continue to leaps and bounds provide a wonderful service for our families. I did attend the GAP graduation on June 19th. So it was great to be there and see those students work really hard to get to where they're at. I heard several commencement speeches, but for some reason the GAP commencement speeches just seem to touch a little bit more, and they're a little bit more impactful, just to know what those students went through to get to that stage. So it was great to be there. Congratulations to the students there, to Principal Allen and staff for just loving those kids so well. My new role at the food bank has really started to kick into high gear. My CEO and myself had actually several meetings with nutrition services over the summer. We talked about a potential partnership for providing more resources for our pantries. So there's a partnership that's blooming there to try to make sure we have more variety for our school pantries, to make sure they were up and running at the start of school. We actually just completed our first food delivery for that. And then on another occasion, we got to visit the school pantries at Hyman, Chapelo, Dos Rios, Winograd, and the Pantry Hub, even though I'd already gotten a tour of that, just so that our CEO could see that and talk about just the wonderful process that they have there. Great with the food reclamation to save that food. Danielle's even given me some ideas to maybe expand what we do here in District 6 to other school districts, that the food bank can have a part in helping reclaim even more food for more kids. But I'm really excited for kids to be back in school and to have access to those meals again. Summer's a really difficult time for our families when they got those school meals they're relying on. So thank you to Danielle Bach and Kara Sample for hosting us. Weld Food Bank hosted 3 interns, District 6 interns. So Toby, Keaton, and Casey spent their summer with us, which is always wonderful to see students give time where they could just be hanging out at the pool or at home, that they came and helped us. Some of them helped in our agencies, some of them helped with our senior deliveries, but ultimately they all helped to feed our community. So it's a great hands-on experience, really having them at the food bank, for them to see another side of the professional world. Of, you hear a lot about the for-profit, but to be able to expose these kids to nonprofit work. So thank you to Lisa Hudson for organizing that and really working with them. I was at the downtown Greeley infrastructure groundbreaking. It wasn't, I didn't know what I was expecting, but I guess I didn't realize this was just for infrastructure, but it's still great because it's like the start of the process. It's the start to get us to a new administration building, to having a revitalized downtown area. And so you got to dig up roads, you got to update pipes, you got to put new electrical. So it's going to be the stuff that people will be really frustrated about, but it's necessary if we want the builds to happen down here to do that. And then lastly, I want to send another thank you to Amy Lemon. She spent her birthday at the food bank volunteering, so it's great to see her. I didn't recognize her because she's wearing a hat. So, Superman really does, all he's got to do is put on glasses and you can fool me. So, but it was great to see you and your family there volunteering. So thank you for that. And that's it for me.
All right, I'm glad Director Azari and Director Edmonds were a little long-winded because I brought some things. So I enjoyed the Habitat for Humanity breakfast as well as the back-to-school backpack giveaway kickoff and the DLT kickoff. I also got to participate in UNC's College of Osteopathic Medicine's ribbon cutting, and of our 80 inaugural medical students, 2 of them listed Greeley as their hometown. I do hope that through the years we have more than 2 out of 80, but it was still exciting to see Greeley highlighted that way. As part of the DLT kickoff, I got really excited at the kickoff. It had a World Cup theme, and there were 3 things that Dr. Pilch talked about. It was about kicking it off, believing in it, and loving it. And she highlighted a lot of celebrations for our district that I would love to start this school year on as well. So we celebrated that, again, we have a projected graduation rate of over 90%, which is amazing. That for the first time ever, 18 of our schools are at performance level, which is the highest state rating. And that's super exciting. I'm sure we all listened to this in the last month or so that U.S. News and World Report ranked Colorado as the #1 state in education this year. So Governor Jared Polis was interviewed a lot about that and talked about how he helped accomplish public schools becoming fully funded. And I think Barb Kirkmeyer and I will disagree on the fully funded part. I think we've made some really amazing steps towards better funding for public schools, as far as suspending the budget stabilization factor and adopting the new school finance formula. But I think we are far from fully funded, but still a celebration. And I want to say that Greeley-Evans District 6 contributed to that #1 rating on U.S. News and World Report. As part of the DLT kickoff, we also celebrated, like I think Director Azari already mentioned, a record high number of AP scholars, our uptrending PSAT and SAT scores. I think those things make me really excited because they are standardized tests. There is no way to fudge that we are uptrending our SAT and PSAT scores and that we're awarding more AP scholars. Those are tests that kids take across the country that our students get compared to. We also celebrated the concurrent enrollment nearly tripled in the last 4 years in our district. And just in the last year, we've increased by 10% the number of juniors and seniors attempting advanced coursework. So it was a lot of numbers. I love numbers and a lot of celebrations as to the positive trend in District 6. Another highlight from DLT that was discussed was that the Well Trust did grant District 6 $1.8 million to continue our community schools work for our Title I schools. So grateful to the Well Trust and excited for that work. All right, so my next excitement was around the West Ed literacy audit that we ended the year on last year and that we're beginning the year on this year. I was impressed to hear that West Ed visited 90 classrooms and had one-on-one interviews with about 100 teachers. And last year, I was very eager to hear the recommendations, like what did they come up with? What are we missing? Why do our DIBELs not match our CMAS? And so that was fun to get a sneak peek at that, both at the DLT and with Dr. Pilch's videos that she sent out to staff. And so the gap and the lever that was discussed is that writing is kind of our missing piece, that it's our gap in our, and this is for our foundational early literacy, kindergarten through 2nd grade, that we need to do more. I love this word. It was meaning making. I'd never heard this, meaning making. And what that means is more comprehension. So not just kids receiving and replicating, which in medical school we called regurgitating, but actually having them receive content, like read a book, and make meaning out of it and be able to answer questions about what they read and show that they didn't just hear words that were strung together, but that there was meaning behind them. And so our teachers, it sounds like in K through 2nd grade, will be focusing a lot more on writing. So reading something or listening to a story and then writing about it in hopes that that'll really increase our kiddos' comprehension as well as their vocabulary. So was excited to see those action points that every school site will have a literacy team on site at every building in that's kindergarten through 2nd grade. And then district-wide, there'll be a literacy council steering committee made up of some of those teachers as well as admin, and just really laser focusing on that foundational time. So I am an early literacy nerd, and you couldn't get me more excited about that than I am. So I wanted to end my comments tonight, surprise, surprise, talking about Initiative 195, which was my entire summer. I tabled in front of all 3 King Soopers, all the libraries, and every farmer's market. You were bound to see me or one of my compadres there. And excited to announce that on August 3rd, we submitted nearly 160,000 signatures to the Colorado Secretary of State's office in Denver. We needed 125,000, and so we submitted more than what we needed. Because of those 160,000, there has to at least be 125,000 that are verifiable signatures, and we have to have enough signatures that represent 2% of registered voters from each of the 35 Senate districts. We think we got there. We won't know until September 2nd. Or by September 2nd, we will be notified if indeed we made it to the November ballot. And if we do make it to the November ballot, I want us to be informed because I think our constituents, our voters, our taxpayers have a right to ask us questions wherever we land on this issue. And I want us to be giving accurate information. And so just as a refresher, if the graduated income tax initiative passes, District 6 will receive an estimated $19 million starting next school year. So that's exciting. Over 99% of Weld County taxpayers will pay less in income taxes than they do now. And it will only affect Tabor as far as changing flat rate income tax to graduated income tax. None of the rest of Tabor stays exactly the same. The refunds will be exactly the same. They won't be $1 less. And taxpayers will still have a right to vote on statewide tax increases. That does not change with this. The only thing that changes is going from flat rate income tax back to graduated income tax, which was how the original Colorado Constitution was written, was graduated income tax. I also wanted to provide clarification around for the 0.8% of Weld County taxpayers who will have a tax increase, what that looks like. Because the way the policy was written, it was meant to only tax them a little bit more, to make it not burdensome, to not drive anybody out of our state. And that was intentional. And so I do want to explain, because I actually didn't fully understand it until this summer. And so using the example of somebody who makes $600,000, right? So just to remind you, anyone who makes under $500,000 will pay less in income tax than they do now. But if you're in that 0.8% of Weld County who makes over $500,000, you will get taxed a little bit more. But how? So let's pretend somebody makes $600K. Their first $100,000 that they make, just like the first $100,000 that I make and the first $100,000 that Director Edmonds make, will actually be at a lower income tax rate. And then the next $100,000 to $500,000 will be at 4.4%, which is the current tax rate. So the only part of their income that actually gets taxed above the current tax rate is any additional income above $500,000. So their first $500,000, they're actually taxed less than they are now. And then just that extra little bit. So what does that look like for somebody who makes $600,000? That looks exactly like $2,675. So that would be the additional that they would pay, is $2,675. And my point in that is that it really is just a little bit more, not like crazy amounts more. So I think that concludes my comments. The organization behind Initiative 195 is called Protect Colorado's Future. They have a great website with actually a calculator where you could put any income and it tells you how much more you would be paying depending on your income, or how much less you would be paying, which is the case for, like I said, 99.2% of Weld County and 97% of Colorado. Corporations are included in this, and so I also did want to give that information real quick. And it's that the most recent data shows that in the state of Colorado, 97% of individual taxpayers and 95% of corporate taxpayers earn less than $500,000 a year and will receive a tax cut under this proposal. So it's also not super targeting corporations. 95% of them will actually be paying less in income taxes, and it's only that top 5% that will pay a little bit more. That is all I have to say. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you. Director Bentley?
I just checked my thesaurus and there's no words left. They're all said.
They've all been said.
Yeah, summer was fast. I'm glad to be back. Excited for football season, and I'm very thankful not to be gearing up for a campaign season in the school board, at least. So,
Thank you all. I think I went to a number of the things you all went to: Habitat breakfast, the kickoff, I went to one city council meeting. Very excited that the downtown project is moving forward with all three entities in place. So it's crazy to see so many buildings gone and all the fences up everywhere, but I know those 3 to 5 years are going to go fast, and we'll see some amazing things popping up. Director Azari never mentions when he gets to direct the Greeley Philharmonic Youth Orchestra, but it was especially a gift because it was 110 degrees up on the stage under the tent at the Arts Picnic, and his students all performed with such grace and poise in their black. At least they got to wear short sleeves and not like a tuxedo or anything like that, but that continues to be an amazing partnership with District 6. It has students from all over the district getting to play in an orchestra, and they sound fabulous. It was also fun. I don't know if anyone saw the 9 News spot today. I think I shared it with you guys, but I was like, oh, why did we get a commercial? That's awesome. And that newscaster is apparently from Colorado, so you'll have to check it out. It's just it's 22,000 students are back to school in District 6, and
She's standing in front of Brentwood.
yeah, and they're going to have dancers, and then they, talk to Dr. Pilch too. So
I think there were some more pieces throughout the morning.
on other back to school.
No, I think on us.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, mostly on us. But I had heard from someone, Kent or someone, they were running it, and they were Megan. They were showing some additional clips. So
That is fun.
we'll try to track it down and put it in your memo for you all.
Well, at the district leadership training, I got the opportunity to just say hello from the Board of Education. And as there are a lot of new people to our district, I just kind of told them a little bit about how we're elected and that we're all at large. And just got to say that we have a really passionate board who is interested in learning, is interested in supporting all of the good work. And I think I kind of talked to everybody about our last meeting, but I just wanted to say again, I appreciate that we are all professional. We all value each other. We value differences of opinion. And I think maybe it made everyone a little uncomfortable that we didn't agree. But it is okay. And in fact, it is necessary that we disagree if we are truly representing, the entire public. We want people to see their values reflected in who's on the board. And so we're not always going to agree on everything. So I just wanted to say, I thought we had excellent, robust conversation during our work session, and then everybody got a little clammed up during the business meeting, which is also fine. But just wanted to say that, I have no concerns that anyone on this board is going to take things super personally, or especially with the way that we treat one another. And again, conflict is fine as long as we are respectful. So I look forward to lots more interesting conversations as you guys all get to, enter your first full school year. I think that Director Campbell-Spitzy did a pretty good job of remaining factual. It's a little bit of a strange.
I think we're okay since it's not on the ballot yet. So
Okay.
this is probably our last meeting that we will be able to
Sort of promote it.
promote 195, yes. Going forward, we would need to be very factual and really present both sides of the argument clearly.
Well, and then what I would just
think.
yeah, right.
I'm
We'll
checking
wait
with legal
for
counsel.
Legal counsel.
So it's not on the ballot yet, so I think we're still okay. Kind of like when we were able to talk, really openly about a mill levy override or a bond issue in a persuasive way, really, from June until it gets on the ballot in August. And then once it's on the ballot in August, we fall under all those fair campaign practices.
Okay. Well, and then what I would just remind everyone, kind of what we have agreed to in our board protocols, like the way we behave around a resolution or something that we voted on where it was not unanimous. If you are ever speaking as a board member, then you say, the will of the board is that we promote this piece. That does not mean that then as a person, you can't say, this is why I chose not to vote for it. But we sort of agree that no one is actively campaigning against something that was the will of the board. If anyone has any comments or questions about that. But I just thought I would address that. But thank you all for your passion, for your excitement to be here and to be back. And we do have so many things that are going so very well. And I'm excited for what's the next big goal. So I think if anyone wants to say anything, please feel free. Well, move on to discuss our board committees and ambassadorships, school visits, things like that. Dr. Pilch, did you want to
Sure.
head that?
I sure would. So the council student reps, we've typically assigned the board president or the board vice president to those meetings, and it's hard to get there every time. So I haven't run this past the council yet, but one of the things I'd like to suggest is maybe we could get with them 2 or 3 times a year and invite the whole board. So you have some opportunity to dialogue with those students, because I know how much you all enjoy hearing from them, and I also know that they enjoy hearing from you all. So I'd like to try that perhaps, and see if we can work that out with the council rather than trying to commit a board member there every month. Then if you're not there and they're counting on you to, but I think if we could pick 2 or 3 times throughout the year to meet between the council, student reps, and the Board of Education, and maybe we can look at a work session type. So we'll talk about that more. Does that
I think
sound good
that
to
sounds
you
good
all?
because they are our student voice representatives, so.
I think it's very valuable too, because we typically see the presidency a lot and hear from them, and they're very strong and very vocal and very active. But then you get into the whole group and get to see the entire group together. There was just so many impressive kids, and there's the charter representation and everything, and a little bit of stuff that we don't see in the boardroom typically.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then the Community Council on Education through the Chamber of Commerce meets once a month, and they've typically invited the board president and vice president, but there's no reason that all of you couldn't be invited. I don't think,
Yeah,
do you?
I think that
So
sounds good.
I think we'll put that on your calendars, and then just know that we'll try to get it covered with president and vice president, one or the other or both. And then if you want to come, you're certainly welcome to come. And when I have an agenda ahead of time, I will have Amy attach the agenda in there so you can see what it is. There's typically a presentation of some sort related to education, so either K-12 or higher ed, and sometimes early childhood. And so UNC participates, Ames, and then several of our community partners participate with some of the chamber leaders. And so it's a good place to share district information and to give district updates and to learn, what else is going on in the community around education initiatives. And I think with the new strategic plan at the chamber and called Beyond the Horizon, a piece of that in there is workforce readiness and workforce development. And so I do think there'll probably be more conversation that impacts us, in coming months. So we'll more to come on that, but we'll get it on your calendars. But again, it's an invite, but not an obligation. And then district accountability, Natalie has typically taken that as the board president. President Mash has served, but we're looking for a backup to her if necessary. Those are Tuesday evenings, usually the third Tuesday of the month. Around 5:15 they gather, and then it goes until 7:30ish. So if there's some interest in that, let President Mash or me know that you'd be interested in backing up on that, and we'll try to get on her calendar early so then she can work her work schedule around it too. Then another committee is the Wellness Committee, and as Director Azari has indicated, he has been serving on that. I think that he and Director Edmonds have been having some conversation about perhaps Director Edmonds taking that role with his keen interest in the food and the wellness piece.
My dabbling
Yeah.
in food and wellness and all
Yeah.
that.
So
It
I
seems
think
like it would be a
if-
good fit.
I think if that's comfortable for you all, that we'd have Director Edmonds take that one. And then Director Azari, are you still interested in the CASB legislative delegate role?
Yeah, I can continue doing that. So, although I was thinking that it might be a good idea for the board to have representation of possibly 2 board members in regards to that legislative process, simply because there are decisions that are made that could have serious ramifications for the school district, and for us to have a good voice in the room. So, just an idea.
So you're asking for additional participants with you?
If-
And then you would cast the vote? Is that kind of how that would work?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the thing, there's the delegate assembly, which is different. And then there's all the other opportunities every 2 weeks. CASB has a legislative update.
And typically on Zoom, right?
Right, it's on Zoom. And that's a very important time to express a voice in the room. It doesn't happen very often, but when there are times that need to be, addressed, then it would be nice to have representation there.
So Director Azari, do you see that as something that should sit on everyone's calendar? Or is that something when something's coming up that you could have Ms. Lemon put it on the calendars? What do you think?
Well, if there was someone on the board that was interested in that legislative
Okay.
process in addition to myself,
That'd be great.
I think
So
that would be
really
good.
a backup and or
Yes.
second, a co,
yes.
and you would cast the vote when it comes time to vote.
Yeah, just in that
Yeah.
one,
That's
just
really
in
the
the
only
delegate
setting,
assembly.
limit us to one, right?
Right, the delegate assembly is, I look at it as something different. There's the delegate assembly, but then there's all the other opportunities to serve as a legislative liaison, if you will. And primarily, it's the CASB meetings that happen every 2 weeks throughout the
When do they typically occur?
Fridays,
At what time?
11:30 to 1, or is it Thursdays? Oh, I'm sorry, I should know this right off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just 1 day a week. I think it's Friday, 11:30 to 1.
And it's exclusive to Board of Education directors. It's,
Right.
we don't get invited to that.
I would just like to throw out, just because I've heard a comment of someone that I don't know about her time and energy and that kind of thing, but I know Director Lemos Garcia had some interest in the legislative piece.
That is true.
And I don't think there's a limit
No.
on that. Now, as far as CASB is concerned, I would imagine that there are people that are legislative liaisons identified, and then there are people that are not necessarily identified, but they attend the meetings.
come,
They
sure.
come anyway. And there are also former board members that aren't even board members now that show up to those meetings. So again, having the voice in the room, having a presence is really, really important. at those.
And how does the board know about those meetings? Do they get emails directly from CASB?
Well,
I presume.
you because I believe at one point I was specifically invited to be on the legislative resolutions committee.
By
There's also
CASB.
Yeah.
Right.
There's also the federal relations network.
And that's another one too.
Yeah. So I think that Doran you are part of it in an official
In
capacity.
official capacity.
Yeah. And so I'm not positive if there's a certain number of people or if it's like
Right.
through the.
But as I'm learning
region.
more and more about it, it's kind of striking me that certain districts, it feels like they have more representation.
I would agree. I suspect that just based on that, I know there are some districts that their Board of Education directors take a much more active role
Right.
around developing legislation and promoting legislation and those pieces.
Right. Just something to be aware of.
Maybe we can ask, I believe Matt Cook runs
Right.
those, like, just, is it okay if other people attend or
Yeah.
need a specific invite or commitment?
I can reach out to him and ask
Okay.
about that.
I always think two heads are better, just because you like pick up something that the other.
But if there is
person-
someone on the board that's interested, yeah.
You're all like, if there's
please
someone.
let me know. As we look
No.
at Dina.
Yes, yeah.
And-
No, I would be.
Dr. Zari, was Mr. Fall on those calls? Do you
Yes, he
remember?
was.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So then.
And that's very important as
Then,
well.
Mr. Demo could choose possibly to attend those, or we also do a case, Megan was just texting me, our case legislative meeting is the same time as the CASB legislative meeting.
Most of the time, it's just a listening session,
Good.
90% of the time. But every now and again, questions come up that require answers.
I think, I think you make a really good point, Director Zari, and I just want to say this legislation around the state funding formula, although it passed, and although it's intended to provide more equity and access to children in high poverty school districts, it is still controversial, and there are still districts that are not content with that legislation because they are not as high a poverty as what we are. And so I think we need to pay attention, we need to stay highly involved, and we need to continue to tell our story.
Yes, I agree.
And there'll be other stuff too, but that is still a piece that's out there.
Yeah.
And then the final was the CBOCES board, Director Bentley, and you and I did not have a chance to talk about this. If you wanted to continue with them as vice
Yeah.
president, and
It's fine, yeah, it's pretty low key, and then, I mean, I just give them an update and review financials, there's not a lot of input.
is it once a month?
Once a month, yeah.
I think it's,
And you can do Zoom and,
I
or in
think it's,
person.
board leadership is probably most appropriate for that since it is a multi-district.
Yeah, where I can do it remotely, I can almost always make it.
Okay,
The ones that I have to be in person get hard when I'm traveling, but with the remote option, it makes it pretty easy.
that sounds great. All right.
Unless someone wants it. I mean, it's pretty fun and there's a lot of good people in there, so I'm willing to give it up if somebody is passionate about it, but I'm happy to do it if,
You've only done it for,
yeah, this last year, I think. So,
Yeah.
well, since Terry got off, she voluntold me,
yeah,
so 3 years now.
He never does
Is
it.
it 3 years?
no,
She was off when we,
2 years.
the three of us were.
Yeah.
So 2025.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
2 years in November, so really.
Time flies.
I think it's appropriate for you to stay if you're
That's fine.
willing to do it.
Yep.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. So that's kind of it with the committee stuff for right now. And as more stuff comes up, we'll let you all know.
And then the schools that we were assigned to?
Yes,
we
so
can
ambassadors. So we've been talking with some of you and I've been talking some with Miss Lemon about this. I think what's really clear is President Mash has been with Greeley Central for quite some time. And so she is willing to step away. And Director Campos Spitzy has been chomping at the bit to perhaps represent Greeley Central High School in terms of being able to speak at their, do the accepting of the class at the graduation that's the big deal here. So I wondered, I think Robin, Director Edmonds and Director Rogie, at some point you guys can tussle over ECA, but I don't think it has to be this year. He does have a sophomore at.
No, junior.
Junior,
So
early
he'll be a
college
senior
candidate.
next year, yeah.
So
So, but-
maybe you want to give it up this year and take it next year.
Yeah.
So you can.
Well, he
accept-
doesn't have.
I have
ECA.
GAP.
He has GAP.
Oh.
Which is still a good school for me too, because the food bank does a lot
Yeah.
of things there. so.
So I think in another year, Director Edmonds might want to see about accepting the class at Early College Academy. But otherwise, I think maybe we just stay where we are for one more year, and then if you guys are comfortable with that and keeping the schools you have, you weren't with them a full year yet, and then we'll come back and
Agree.
see where we are after we elect some new board members, or at least a new board member next November of 27. How does that sound? Does that feel comfortable to you all?
I might chomp at the bit a little bit to look at Greeley West at some
No.
point.
No. Kyle, how long have you had Greeley West?
Just
Not-
this year. I
not
think.
very long,
Just a year,
'cause-
yeah. I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
I had, I think, Northridge before that. I don't have any special ties to any of the schools, so I'm very happy to do any one
Well,
of them.
I think we can wait a year if you're comfortable with that, Director Rogie. Because when we bring on new board members, we tend to give you some of the smaller graduations, so you're not feeling that tremendous pressure of the big stadium in front of the microphone, when it's one of your first graduations. And so I think over time, as board members change, we'll move some of you into the bigger schools and move some of you and move our newer people into the smaller schools. But certainly, you all can work out on your own too if you want to trade some of this up. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So that was Ambassador Schools. We have started to set up school visits. The other thing that I'd like to try to work on this year with you all is getting you out with me to some of these ambassador schools. And so, if you want to go visit some of your schools that you're an ambassador to, that you and I could go and, do a tour, visit with the principal, get into some classrooms. And so I'm going to try and do at least some of that with each of you, or at least a school with each of you as we go into this year, if that is something you all would like to do.
Do we, I don't know if I assume there's like a master list of like what schools we will try to get to this year.
Yeah, we have that.
Because then if we're not gonna get to one of the schools, that would be. a
One of
good
your
one
schools,
to
yeah.
go to.
Yeah, we do have that. It may not be completely worked through yet this year, but we do have, we typically have who we've been to for the last several years and what, in what order, and then
Yeah.
what are those schools we'll get to this year. We don't get to every school every year, but we will.
I think it would be fun to be invited to like prep rallies for your high school, homecoming stuff and, as the ambassador. I think that would be a little bit, maybe not so much just the nuts and bolts all the time, but some
Yeah,
fun stuff.
I will say, I think it's, we can, Ms. Silva can work on that with our high school principals to have them get us those dates on those assemblies for you all who are ambassadors. I think some principals think about inviting us more than others do, and so we'll help remind them.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Okay,
Sounds good. Fun stuff.
all right. Let's see. Is that it for that?
Committees, ambassador, school visits.
And school visits. Okay, school visits. We've started to set up school visits. You have the first few here on the schedule, and we'll work through the rest of those. It's just, we're trying to work around lots of different work schedules, guys. We're doing the best we can. But I think we haven't been to Montfort for a while. I'm glad to see we've got Montfort coming up. Winograd K8, that'll be good. So, we'll get
Yeah,
us
I think it seems like you're kind of like morning here, afternoon here, different days, and so hopefully you just catch a good cross-section
Yeah.
of everybody.
Yeah, you're a very active board, so I think you attend when you can, and that gets us, if we're only going to have like 2 board members, then we'll sometimes cancel or reschedule that visit. But, if we can get 3 or 4 of you there, that's a good turnout,
Yeah.
those visits.
So as much as you can, try to RSVP in a
So we
timely
know, yeah.
manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Amy, you need around school visits? At 2:00 at Montfort Elementary looks awfully late in the day for an elementary school. I'm wondering about that time.
That was the time that Principal Bach chose.
Okay.
They gave the principals a window.
What about athletic passes for this year?
I don't know about athletic passes, but we'll find out for you about athletic
Thanks for bringing that
passes.
up.
Yeah. We'll find out and get those for you all.
Badges will?
Your badge. will get you. Well, but it won't get them in visiting places. Chassis, yeah. I think they typically have.
We've done district passes.
Just district passes, not chassis? Okay.
We'll get those.
We'll get them to you. What else? Anything else on school visits you're wondering about or thinking about? You want us to have on our radar?
I think it seems to be the norm, but I think we all love to have the student input, the student tour guides. That's super fun.
Yeah.
No matter the age.
Yeah, you want to hear from kids, from students. You do want to
Yeah.
hear from students.
Yep.
I think we've asked for that on those
I
school
think
visits.
that's what we've had pretty consistently, so keep that up.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the next item on the agenda, we just wanted to give the new board members information about the process for superintendent evaluation. So we do this every year. And there doesn't seem to be like a real standardized like form across districts. Some districts do it with something more objective, like a 5-point scale. Other districts do it more probably like the way that we have typically done it, which is we look at the strategic plan and kind of evaluate her on each of the 4 categories. So you'll receive a document that has questions about like what are some of the biggest strengths that you've seen in Dr. Pilch this year? What are areas for improvement or questions you have or things like that? You'll submit them to me, and then I will do my best to create a document that shows all of the celebrations, all of the places that we're excited to continue to improve. And then we do have an executive session where we get to share those personally with Dr. Pilch. And so I think it's a pretty generous turnaround time. Like that will get sent out and then maybe I need it back in 3 weeks, 2 weeks? I don't remember.
3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks. So,
I think what might help too, I think President Mass, you mentioned this, I think, that if you haven't had a chance to look at the DLT slides from the kickoff, there's a lot of data in there that I think would help you possibly to think about, what have they been doing? And also the literacy stuff is probably pretty important. I mean, I'll just tell you, the literacy stuff is a big part of what I'm finding important in my work right now, and spending, you know, a lot of our energy on with Jenny and Lisa McGee and the team. So that would be an important piece in there as well.
And as you all have only served for one semester, don't feel like you have to have this incredibly in-depth, robust understanding of what's going on in the district. You know, you're just coming to some of that, but obviously you've observed Dr. Pilch in public settings with her students, conversations around the goals and the celebrations. So hopefully you have plenty of information.
And Amy, is that, I think that slide deck for DLT is in the calendar invite, is that right? Or is there a different way to access this?
I think they were in
Was
the
it on
e-week.
e-week?
It was
Okay.
on
it was
e-week.
yeah, yeah.
I'm happy to reshare that when I send out the evaluations as
Okay,
well.
that'd be great, thank you. Because I think maybe you had mentioned slides from the end of last year and then,
Yeah,
I don't know if
think
they're
that's
very
gonna do-
different, but.
Yeah, no, there's a little bit difference, so we'll send both to you. And then typically, I will see all of your comments too, so that, you know, we can have a robust conversation in that executive session, although President Mash won't include everything in the written document. The executive session is really a meaty conversation, and it's a place where you can provide valuable feedback too. So it's coming up.
Yeah.
We just don't want you surprised.
No surprises.
No. And feel free to reach out to the four of us who have done it before if you have any questions or district leadership. All right. I think let's debrief the work session. Let's start with you.
It was great. Thank you guys for listening to me. I know I always have a lot to say, but I really am excited about the school year and all the good work we're doing.
Director Evans.
Same. I think it's going to be a good school year ahead of us. Good meeting tonight, and see our chief of communications officer on one of those smoothie bikes once he's fully recovered. It's stationary.
Director Azari.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a great year. It was exciting to see the kids get back into school and to drive around town and really have to pay attention to all those blinking yellow lights. So
Just
looking
when you're
forward-
used to the speed limit.
Right, exactly. Looking forward to a great year.
Director Lemos Garcia.
Yes, I agree with everyone else, and this is going to be a great year. I am looking forward to having the same schools that we had last year. I just felt like I was able to just touch on a few things, so I'm excited to be able to dabble a little more in those. So, yes, looking forward to it.
Director Roby.
Just excited to get started, and it's every time I'm in one of these meetings, it kind of enlarges my understanding of what goes on in the district and just how impressive the work is. And I'm thrilled with the emphasis on literacy and writing in particular. I just feel like that's just so important. So thank you for bringing that forward tonight too.
One thing I forgot in the update, we did host 6 interns this year, 4 from the District 6, and we actually just hired a former intern full-time, Julie Hill's son, Wyatt, who was one of our standout interns. He actually got promoted to a leadership role as an intern in his little department when he was helping us a year or two ago. So just excited to kind of see that progressing and working. So other than that, just excited for the school year. Like I said, football and fall and cooler weather soon.
Yep. Thank you all for being here, for volunteering your time and serve the community this way. And it's going to be a great year. This meeting is adjourned.